Now, speaking of being fair, I've had a bit of stick today, LB, because I have stated that Harry Kane is not inside my top 10 Premier League strikers or attackers of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's a bit harsh?
Nope. Not at all. I have a massive Harry Kane agenda.
Okay. Let me give you my rationale, and then I'll go to you, and it's for the viewers don't care. So it was a clip taken from a show last week, and I've actually heard myself.
Have you got the clip? Have you got the clip?
I haven't got it to play, actually, but I'm not actually happy with my editor. He hasn't edited the best bits of what I said. I think he's put it together badly, but that's the nature of clips. Sometimes you don't like how it sounds. So I'll reiterate it. So everybody's saying Harry Kane is the second highest goal scorer in Premier League history. He has to be in the top 10 for attackers and strikers. And I'll put it simply, I don't put ability and stats. Let me rephrase that again. I don't think your ability and your stats alone create that legendary status. So when I say top 10 strikers of all time, I don't judge it on ability and goals purely. I also look at what you did in title run-ins, what you did in semi-finals and finals. And a lot of people like to separate other competitions from the Premier League. I don't, because you play them all at the same time. So if you're playing Champions League semis, FA Cup semis, finals, and trying to fight for a Premier League title, the pressure in all those games accumulated together. If you're delivering in all of them, and I name players like Aguero, Henry, Cantona, Rooney, Drogba. This isn't an agenda about my club. I've seen them all, Salah, Mane, deliver in some of all of those comps on a regular basis in title runs to win the tournaments. And those players have been integral in the triumphs, integral in their teams winning those trophies. And I just feel that delivering in those high-stake, high-pressured games at the business end of the season hold so much more weight than your standard matches in the first 2/3 of the campaign. And so I therefore feel those goals and those goals leading to those trophies being won are more valuable. So when I rate my top 10 of all time, I mean, I'm looking at your status as as a legend. Number one, you're the biggest striking legend in the Premier League. And I just can't disrespect what the others have done and put Harry Kane above them just because he's a better finisher. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I have a bit of an agenda against Harry Kane. I think he's massively failed to deliver when it matters. Yeah, it's all well and good scoring 25, 30 goals a season, but when it matters, he has failed to deliver. Failed to deliver for England, failed to deliver for Spurs, and had to flee and go to Bayern Munich so he could actually win a trophy. Otherwise, that would have been super embarrassing. And now they're talking about, maybe he'll come back to try and get the Premier League top goal scorer. Well, pointless, because if Haaland stays at City for the next 10 years, as per his contract, he'll end up with it easy. In fact, he's on course to get it in the next 5 years. So, it won't be in my top 10 either. It won't be in my top 10. The strikers that have scored good amount of goals, that have actually influenced trophies and silverware, scored under pressure. Do you know what I mean? In big moments. Rooney, Aguero, scoring big goals to win trophies and silverware. Shearer, Premier League. You know what I mean? This is what we're talking about here. Yeah. And this guy's just gone around, scored a lot of goals, granted. Yeah. But at the end of the day, bro, this guy's not delivered when it matters. So, listen, if at the end of the day, I might change my opinion, like based off of, if he does it at Bayern Munich, say he can win them the Champions League this year, do you then go, oh, well, he didn't do it at Spurs, but this guy clearly has the minerals. Well, maybe it was Spurs.
And that's a Bundesliga Bayern conversation, because if he keeps scoring for the next 3 or 4 years there, like he has been since he arrived, wins 2 or 3 league titles, wins Champions Leagues, wins the Pokal, then the German league can rank him somewhere, because it's leading to trophies, leading to majors. I just think delivering, and this is where I love and hate this argument at the same time, because people go, oh, trophies being used to determine how good individual players are. That isn't what we're saying. I'm not saying a player with a trophy is a better football player than a player without one. I'm talking about their status. And I believe that Didier Drogba's goals in massive games in title runs, massive runs in FA Cups, League Cups, and in the Champions League carry immense significance in shaping his legacy in the game. And I believe there's almost like an entry fee, or there's an entry to be able to dine on that table. And Harry Kane has the ability, he has the goals, he has great moments. What he doesn't have is those goals in run-ins. And someone said to me, Terry, well, are you saying to me that Mane and Aguero would be less of a legend if they'd have joined Spurs instead of Liverpool and City? And I'm like, yes, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
They would have been. And
Basically,
I hold Harry Kane accountable for making the poor decision of staying with Tottenham.
Facts.
It's as simple as that. He could have left at 23, 24, 25, 26. He could have gone to City. He could have gone to any club in the Premier League. Anybody would have bought him. And he could have shown. And this is what I don't think people are realizing. And maybe it's because of clubs who, and I had a lot of Villa fans in my mentions. Maybe they'll change their mind, the younger Villa fans, if they go on to win the Champions League this year. And what I mean, and maybe if they go on to win the FA Cup, they're still in it. I think they're still in it. If they go on to win the FA Cup, maybe their minds will change. When Ollie Watkins starts scoring in semi-finals and finals, and they'll realize, geez, the pressure we felt, the pressure on the team, and they delivered. That will propel Ollie Watkins' status at your football club to the next level. It's only the clubs that don't win anything, that don't like performances in relation to winning trophies, being an attributing factor in the status of a player. I find that, I don't find it weird. I get it, because they don't want their players to be excused, but there is a massive pressure. Like that goal from Aguero, last minute of the game to win the Premier League, it killed me. It hurt me, LB. But it wasn't just because of the commentary and the fact it will be played forever that makes it legendary. It's, what if he skies it over the bar? That would have lived for him forever. If he skies it over the bar, that would have gone against his legacy. It would have been, he had the chance to win it, and he booted it over the bar from 5 yards, 6 yards out, when it was easier to score than miss, but he delivered. And
it's the same with Gerrard, right? Everyone speaks about Gerrard, and he won the Champions League, that's mint and that. But everyone always holds the fact that he didn't win the Premier League against him.
And rightfully so.
And Kane's getting the same treatment. That's all it is. All we're doing is being fair and balanced here, because we all hold it against Gerrard and say, war a Premier League. Yeah, even though he did win the champs, and that's still mint. But everyone always holds that against Gerrard. So you got to have the same energy against Kane. Yeah? This is the truth, mate. Like, he's been at a top club, and the fact that he couldn't even win a Carabao Cup, it's just a madness for me. So, I don't have him in my top 10. He probably would even be in my top 15, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, again, if I think off the top of my head, genuinely now, in terms of all things being included, trophies, goals, stats, ability, the lot, I have Henry, Cantona, Rooney, Aguero, Drogba, Andy Cole, Mo Salah.
Haaland's got to be there.
Haaland's in there, absolutely. Robin van Persie is in it. Alan Shearer, of course. And I'm trying to be really fair when I think about these individuals now. Jamie Vardy, Van Nistelrooy, as an example. They were at 12. Cristiano Ronaldo, of course. I mean, how do I forget about him? And I'm not
Heidegger Johnson.
he's
baller, to be fair. I actually rated him highly. He's a baller.
It's there, and I just sort of think, like, and that's just
Vardy, facts, big up.
Vardy, I put in there. I'll go get Dennis Bergkamp is in there as an example. Like, of course, and I'll forget names because it isn't like something I've sat there at night and thought about. But what I do think about regularly is what I consider a legend to be. And I don't believe you can be in the top 10 strikers of all time in the Premier League without being a legend. I think you have to be, and it can't just be based on goals scored. And I hold the same level to my football club. If you score more goals for Man United than Wayne Rooney, say Cheeto Obi now starts playing every week, and in 10, 12 years' time, he becomes a top goal scorer of all time. But in that period, it hasn't led to winning any trophies. He's failed to deliver in nearly every single semi-final and final, and we never get into title races. And when we do, he barely scores. I will not put him above Wayne Rooney. I will not put him above Bobby Charlton. I won't do it. So it's not like I'm doing this. And by the way, I was so happy when he left Tottenham. I was so happy that he left to go and win trophies, because
I wanted him at City, man. I can't lie, bro. I wanted him at City here. But at the end of the day, right, I'm only going off the facts. Yeah, this guy won. I don't know. Has he won something at Bayern yet? I think he won the trophy at the start of the season, no?
Yeah, like maybe the Super Cup thing. But yeah, he hasn't won anything. Let's have a little look here.
Has he won? He's got to have won something, man. He's been there 18 months.
He didn't win nothing last season. He won nothing, literally, like nothing.
What about this year? They won some sort of like Community Shield, anything, just
any. No, they were runners up.
I swear I've seen him lifting a trophy this season.
That might have been pre-season. He's not won any trophies in his whole career. It's crazy. Yeah, nothing he's won so far. So, and he'll do it this year. And look, goals are amazing. 44 goals in 45 games last year, 29 goals in 33 games as a goal scorer. Like, if someone said, is he in your top 10 goal scorers of all time, purely on goal scoring? Yes.
Finishing ability.
Finishing ability, goal scorers. Yes, he's there. But when you're talking about attackers, Eden Hazard, of course, Eden Hazard is above him. Of course, Eden Hazard is above him in that status. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I'm not going to go as far to say Chris Sutton, because even though he won a league title, but at the end of the day, like, there's players like Andy Cole, Dwight York. I put them above him. I just do. It's as simple as that. And again, I always say Michael Owen, I put above him. I really do. And it's not about goal scoring ability. You've just, otherwise, how far do you drop? How far do you drop those standards? I think there has to be a standard for legends, and I can't think of many legends. And you just think off the top of your head, how many legends in football do we go, he's a legend, but they didn't win anything, or none of the brilliance that we watched and enjoyed was integral in their club or their nation winning a trophy? I can't think of many. That's what, do you know what that category's for? That's he's a proper Barclays man. That's for them, man.
Yes.
But, nobody puts Eden Hazard. Nobody puts Cantona. Nobody puts Bergkamp as, he was a proper Barclays. That's for Kevin Nolan, bruv.
It is a question for you, right? So if we was to like think about players from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, maybe even 50 years ago, right? For those that can remember that far back. Like, I'm talking about like Ronaldinho's, Maradona's, these type of guys, yeah? Ronaldo, the original guy, yeah? How many of these legends that you can remember off the top of your head, yeah, great players, how many of these players didn't win anything? And would they have been remembered if they didn't win anything?
No, and that's the thing, they wouldn't.
I don't think they would have been.
So you get a few players. So like Matt Le Tissier is like the go-to example for people when they go, Matt Le Tissier. And half the people that say that never watched him play, because you can tell they're young by then. Some people have their profile picture up, and some people have their age, they're 20. Le Tissier. How many games you watched? Le Tissier was brilliant. But where I would challenge him, and Le Tissier is someone that my dad's good friends with him, actually. Or not say good friends. They used to do a lot. My dad used to do comedy and used to do after dinner shows with him. My dad does think he's got a bit weird now. My dad's like the opposite end of the political spectrum to him. And my dad retired, but he's a bit of a weird guy now. But there's one thing delivering for a Southampton team. There's another thing joining Liverpool in his era, joining Arsenal, joining Man United, where the pressure to deliver is up here, the standard is up here, and still being yourself, still delivering. And we know that's true because we often talk about our players that bottle it and go missing in big games, teams that fade away in title races, managers that, when the going gets tough, fold. So how is it that we hold, for instance, at the moment, Arsenal right now, Arteta right now get put into this category of when the going gets tough, they fold. When it really matters, they fade away. How can we hold that against a team or a manager? Saka's had a lot of ridicule in this last few years. What has he done in that last 10, 15 game period? And there's been rightful question marks, but he's still young and can turn that around. We can't apply that logic then, but not, and then equally dismiss what people have done in those run-ins when you're creating the top 10 list of all time. Because if you haven't delivered in what you consider to be the highest pressured moments, how could you be above people that did? Because you use that to ridicule. So Saka gets ridiculed for not delivering in that 10 games by Tottenham fans, but they want to ignore that last 10 game period when it comes to Harry Kane's status in the game. Both of for me, there's a dichotomy there where one of those things has got to go. We either stop ridiculing managers, teams, and players for how they deliver in quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals, and how they deliver in the title run-in. We have to either get rid of all that criticism or we hold it against players when it comes to the legendary status of the game. I don't see how they both can exist simultaneously within football debates, for me personally. But what I do find interesting, LB, is only the fans of teams that don't win or the players that underachieved who push that narrative. So maybe we are right in that. And maybe it's just they're trying to protect their players a little bit there. This here says, understand the point is a team sport, not tennis. But you're not listening. It's how those players delivered within that team sport. So you look at Mo Salah as an example. There's no way you're going to put Mo Salah and Darwin Núñez on the same level because they both might win a Premier League and Champions League this year. You know that Mo Salah, has been integral in the delivery. There's no way you're going to put Van Dijk and what's the young lad's name?
Matip. You could even have Matip in there.
You don't put them on the same level because you know that the delivery of consistency of performances from Van Dijk in those title-winning seasons, the two of them that come at one and the one's coming, the Champions League winning campaigns, the domestic trophy winning campaigns, his individual displays were so much better. You're not going to say they've got the same status at Liverpool. You know which one is better. You know which one's better. And by the way, Harry Kane's ability in his goal scoring factors in. It's why he's still going to be high up on the list. But you don't do that to your own players. And we know no one does that in their own club. No one does it in their own club. So why should we do it for the Premier League and Harry Kane? You wouldn't do it in your own football club. If a new player comes along and scores a similar amount of goals to Mo Salah, but fades in finals, fades in semi-finals, and never delivers or never gets you into a title running, you are not going to hold him above Mo Salah. You won't do it. You just won't. And none of us do it. So we shouldn't do it for Harry Kane. Harry Kane should have to deliver in the same high-pressured moments that the legends before him did for him to be in the same club as them.
Yeah, and having a great team is a different argument to have a great player. Do you know what I mean? That's a completely different argument.
And equally as well, say you're a Liverpool fan. So say you do sign a player that's as good as Mo Salah, and he's 23, 24, 25, but your team's shit. I will hold the player accountable if at 25, 26, he signs a new 6-year deal at Liverpool when he has the option of going, there's just the teams I'm going to mention, hypothetically, all at the top of their game at that point. He could go to City, he could go to Chelsea, he could go to Villa because they're all fighting for the title regularly. He could go to Bayern Munich, he could go to Real Madrid, he could go to Ati, he could go to Barca. They all want him. If he goes, no, I'm going to stick it out with Liverpool, if he makes that bad decision, he's accountable for that. The same as if a footballer decides to eat junk food every night, go out drinking all the time, and it ruins their game, it ruins their status. That's their decision. I just don't understand. So people talk about accountability all the time. Every player is accountable for the football team they decide to join. And we all know as well, you can force your fucking way out pretty quickly. You all know you can get out of football clubs if you.
But at the same time, if you decide to just do a gentleman's agreement and not do what you should do and put a proper release clause in the contract, which is what Harry Kane failed to do. He had a gentleman's agreement in his contract. Then that's your own fault, isn't it? That's your own fault, bro. It's not, you know, but if Harry Kane could be like, oh, but I wanted to go City. Well, you should have signed a contract that had a release clause then instead of a gentleman's agreement. That's your fault that you did that. No one else's.
No, I totally agree. And look, we get a lot of this. What about Totti? So I'll tell you about Totti. This is a World Cup winning striker. In the year of 2006, where they won the World Cup.
Yeah, he won the World Cup, mate. What are you on about?
In that season, it was the second most amount of caps he'd ever had in his entire career. He was a league title winner with Roma. He won 2, 3, 4 domestic trophies with Roma. So there was trophies in there. However, what I would argue...
the World Cup, man. What are you talking about? He won the World Cup.
He won the World Cup as an example as well. But what I would throw into this as well is at Roma, he is the legend of all legends. I'm going to hazard a guess here that he's not considered the top #1 striker in Serie A history. Had he, though, have left Roma halfway through his career and joined AC Milan and scored even more goals and won even more trophies, maybe his overall legendary status would be higher. So Roma #1. But the guy has won 4 domestic trophies, a league campaign, and the World Cup. There's not a comparison here. He won those trophies and was an important part. And all I'm really doing here, ironically, is what I find really interesting. I'm not taking nothing away from Kane. I've not said he's bad. I'm not saying his goals don't matter. All I'm doing is adding the value of those goals in the most important moments of a team season and the players that perform well and delivered in those moments. And if I think about, again, Aguero, I think about Henry, I think about Cantona, Rooney, Salah, Drogba. I'm talking Premier League here. What they did was so amazing. And I'm sad for Harry. And by the way, a Spurs fan said to me a little bit, Harry Kane played in bad teams. No. There was a 3 or 4 year period where that was a very good Tottenham team.
Agreed.
But underachieved. And Harry Kane was part of that underachievement. There were so many big games, especially in cup competitions. That's all part of your status where he didn't deliver. And that it has to be called out, because he can't have a pass because he's got an English passport, a British passport, and because he's England's top goal scorer. He can't be treated differently to his counterparts. I think that would be unfair.